Okay, good morning or afternoon, depending on if you're watching the recording. But good morning to everyone live. I'm Stephanie. Welcome to Brain Training. This month of November, we're going to be working on floor-based movement. And so your agility or mobility, you're able to move around on the floor in a variety of ways. And I kind of brought this theme because we're getting into the holidays, and maybe some of you have grandkids that you like to get on the floor with during the holidays. And so it's just a fun way for you to feel confident and mobile on the floor while interacting with family members. And then also we all know that getting down and up from the floor is a really good skill to have, and an indicator of, just general movement abilities. So we're going to be doing all of that. Let's go ahead and get ourselves warmed up through our hands, especially because we are going to be doing some loading on the hands. You can either do this part seated or standing, or if you want to start making your way down to the floor, right now is a good time to start doing that if you take a little bit to get down to the floor. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and start with wide fingers here and just playing piano or twinkling your fingers. Yes, good. And then working through finger to thumb. Y'all know this: middle finger to thumb, index finger to thumb, and then pinky finger to thumb. Good. We're going to take that to the next level and go with a flick. And I want there to be a sound that comes from the flick. So in order to do that, you have to tuck the thumbnail underneath your thumb, or tuck your nail underneath the thumb and flick from there. So make sure you're getting that wrapping component of your thumb over the nail. And then let's go ahead and go middle finger. And ring finger. Again, make sure that the nail gets underneath your thumb so you get the true flicking. And then pinky to thumb. And then because the thumb was always on top, let's go ahead and make it so that we have the index finger on top of the thumb this time and work on flicking the thumb out. Good. And then what about a snap? Good. Can you snap with other fingers? What? Kinda. Why not? Good. And then go ahead and just clap out your hands. We're just going to bring some vibrate. I'm not going to do it loud because the microphone, but I want you to do it really loud. Bring the vibration of the clapping and the, collision of your hands creates vibration up through your wrists and forearms. And then interlace your fingers here, and let's connect our elbows as well. And we're going to do wrist rolls. Good. And if you connect your elbows, it'll really isolate that wrist movement. Can you switch the direction of those wrist rolls? Oh, I got some weird popping going on in my wrists. Good. And then go ahead and bring your fingers really tight and close into the webbing and do this little villain roll through your hands, really squeegeeing out through the webbing of your fingers. Yeah, and I'm almost doing like a little massage. I'm kind of massaging my thumbs here. Good. And go ahead and start rubbing your hands together. Bring a little bit more heat. And let's really work through the webbing now. So we're going to go the webbing between your thumb and the rest of your fingers. We're going to interlace them, or what would this be? Interlock them and then rub them together. So for the video. Yep. And by stretching the in-betweens of our fingers, we're able to make our hands bigger and more expressive. And then when that comes to being on our hands and knees, we can have a bigger base that we're connecting into the ground with when our hands are more separated. Star Trek, Spock. Just work your way down from the from the thumb side of the hand all the way through the pinky. and then pinky side as well. Good. And that should feel pretty good. I forgot to mention this. I did it myself. I took off my rings. That just kind of helps you get into the webbing a little bit better. And then you can come back to that villain, sort of squeegee all of that out. Good. And then last wrist prep here. Well, maybe not the last one, but for now, we're going to go into a roller coaster. Good. And I want you to try to make it really dramatic. Maybe even above the head. Ugh. And maybe with that drama, we can get some spine movement too, right? Woo, good. And then switch the direction. Good. Awesome. Perfect. And shake it out. Excellent job. Woo. Now go ahead and separate your hands and give them a little twinkle. And hopefully they feel a little bit more open. I feel especially on my left hand. This is my left hand, but I feel more open in my webbing and I can open my hands quite big. Ooh, this is great training for drawing turkeys too, right? Drawing turkeys with the grandkids. All right, so right here, go ahead and press your arms up towards the ceiling, big stretch north, either seated or standing. Good, and then grab onto something imaginary. I know my hands are out of the frame. Grab onto something and pull it down and puff up your chest. And then you're gonna open up your hands really big, push up towards the ceiling, shrug the shoulders a little bit higher, grab onto something and pull down. Open up the hands, push, shrug the shoulders up, grab on and pull. Okay, so if you were in a gym setting, you might be doing an overhead press or some sort of pull up. We're just combining the two because we don't have apparatus. Good, we're gonna go 2 more. Last one. Perfect, nice job. Place your hands either on your hips or on your knees if you're on the floor. We're gonna turn our head and eyes over to the left and look over your left shoulder. And I'm gonna be vague in that. So just turn and look over your left shoulder, whatever that is for you. And then center, turn and look over your right shoulder. Wonderful, and we're gonna keep going. Right, left, right, left. You can push off, especially if you're sitting on the floor, you can kind of push off your thighs to help you get a little bit more rotation. And then pushing off and getting a little more rotation. We're gonna do that one more time each side. Yep. And rotating. Nice job. All right, we're going to do a quick tracking drill for our eyes. For those of you that are new to the brain training, we do a lot of work. Usually we do a lot of work with eyeball movement and tracking with your eyes. This month is going to be, in comparison to previous classes, less of that, but we are still going to pull it into the floor-based movement. All right, so you're going to grab just your finger, or if you prefer to use a pen or pencil, you can do that. And other hand, your free hand is going to be on your chin. Drag your finger over to the left and track your finger with your eyeballs as far as you can go to the left. Try not to let your head turn. So the head is not going to turn, your eyeballs just travel, and bring it back to your center. And we're just going to do the left side for right now. So we're going to go over to the left and then back. Make sure that you can see your finger or your pen or pencil throughout the entire movement that you're working with. Try to don't let yourself go out of the range that your eyeballs can go into. And remember, we're trying to stretch the range of motion in your eyeballs over to the left side of your face, and it may get a little uncomfortable and you may have some eye strain. That's normal. I'm gonna do one more time. Good. Switch sides. Hand on your chin, other hand or pen or pencil, going over to the right side, pulling your eyeballs all the way over to the right side of your face. You're stretching out those eyeballs just as we stretch our other muscles of our body. Good. Try to lift yourself in a taller posture here. If you know yourself to kind of cock your head a little bit, try to find a more neutral and upright position. We're going to do 2 more. And last one. Good. Wash your face with your eyes. I'm sorry, wash your face with your hands. Wash your eye and kind of rub your eyes out a little bit, especially if you get that eye strain. We can kind of just rub it through, release the tension in the facial muscles. Good. And then bring it on back. We're going to go on the diagonals as well. So one hand on your chin, the other hand out in front. We're going to go up on the diagonal and we're going to come down on the diagonal as well. Up on the diagonal and then down. Good. Tracking the pen or pencil or your finger the whole time. Just because you know where that pen or pencil is going to go doesn't mean you can kind of skip ahead with your eyes. Really, really track the finger. Remember that I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. It's the smooth pursuit. Your ability to follow an object through space, not just get to the end place. Good. One more. If you need to wash your face, wash your face. Otherwise, we can get going on the other side. Here we go. Very good. Again, stretching that range of motion. Try to take your eyeballs to the furthest point without losing focus. We'll do maybe one or two more. Good, good. And then wash your face. And great. So we have our little bit of sensory warm up through our hands and visual warm up in our eyes. Go ahead and make your way down to the floor if you're not already there. I have this beautiful tree right here that's filtering the sunlight and it's making me a little patchy. So in terms of video production, I understand that's not the best thing, but it's really nice for my system. All right, so go ahead and make your way down to the floor and find a seated position, whichever seated option you want to go with. If you want to go legs out straight, cross-legged, let's go with one of those. Or a butterfly stretch is kind of nice. If you find that sitting in any of those positions is a little bit challenging for you, I encourage you to, for this class and for the rest of class this month, to have a pillow. And when you sit on a pillow, it just becomes, these positions just become a little bit more accessible. So a bolster, a pillow, if you are fancy and have a yoga meditation pillow, any of those options are really good. All right. I'm going to come off the pillow for myself, but just know that that's always an option for you. All right, so we're going to sit cross-legged. Let's take your left hand down to the ground and side bend stretch over the top. If you would like to, you can bring your elbow a little bit down towards the mat if that space is available for you. And as you're reaching in, I know some of you are still getting settled to the floor. We're going to be here for a little bit, so you can join us when you're ready. As you're reaching over the top, we have a stretch through this top arm and the same side hip. So that right hip, we're going to try to keep heavy on the ground. All right, so we're up and over here, but the hip stays heavy over here, anchored on the floor. Push through the ground, make a big cartwheel, expand as you come over to the other side, and side stretch over to the right. And again, the arm is reaching up, and we're going to settle the hip down onto the ground on this side as well. Good. Up and over, inhale. Anchor through the hip, breathe into your side body meaning the rib that it's exposed. Up and over, inhale. Up and over, inhale. Love it. And for those of you that are nerding out on some of this brain work, by turning your body sideways and taking your body through these different kind of orientations to the horizon, which system are we working? Point to it. It's located inside your ear. Do we know it? It starts with a V. Yeah, vestibular. Some of you may have got that. I know you're all on mute. So your vestibular system, we're working the vestibular system by turning. And it looks like everyone's mostly settled on the floor and has gotten a chance to do a few of these. Let's go ahead and bring it with your hands onto your thighs or onto your knees. So again, if you're long sitting, you can kind of just have your hands on your thighs here. Pull yourself into extension. I'm going to turn here. So you're going to stick your chest out and lean forward a little bit over your thighs. Good. And then push down into your thighs and round your back looking down at your belly button. And you can pull up on those knees a little bit to get more hollowing. Pull yourself up and over your thighs, lifting through your chest and your eyes come up. And then push back and round your spine to draw in. It's like seated cat-cow. Lifting forward, the base of the sternum is up. You want to lift up and back into extension, and then rounding back and pull into flexion. We'll do just 2 more of those. Lift yourself into extension. The base of your sternum, the base of your breastbone is pushing forward, and then rounding back. Inhale into extension. Exhale, push back into flexion. Nicely done. Let's go ahead and lay on our back here so you can send those legs out in front of you if they're not already there, and bring yourself down to the floor. Great. Hopefully you can see me a little bit. You can pull your iPads or phones near you if you need me to come a little closer. All right, place your hands on your hips and your feet about mat width apart. So if you're using a yoga mat, you can put your feet on the edges of your mat. If you're not using a yoga mat, you can just widen out your feet quite a bit so they're wider than what you think a yoga mat would be, right? We're going to go ahead and let your knees fall over to the right side. Let your knees fall over to the right side. And you're going to get in this sort of, we call it a Z position, where your legs are kind of making a Z. And if you get a hip cramp like me, just shake it out. Good. So if the knees fell to the right side, we're going to take our left arm, eyes, and head out to the side and look behind you. The knees go to the right, and we're going to take our head, eyes, and arm and reach it to the left. Let's go ahead and collect with an exhale, collecting to those abdominals. Pull your knees up and over to the other side. The knees go left, the eyes, head, and arm reaches out to the right. Great. Let's do that a few more times. Exhale, collect, draw your abdominals in to pull your knees up and over to the other side and rotating your head through. Stretch those fingertips a little bit longer as if you want to reach to the other side of the room. You want to hit that baseboard. Up and over, rotate and reach through your head. Great. I'll do that one more time each side. And one more time each side, or one more time to the other side. Good. Go ahead and bring your knees back to their center position with the feet a little bit more in line with your hips. Just for future reference, this is called a hook lying position, HOOKLYING, hook lying. So if I ever said come into a hook lying position with your knees bent and your feet flat. All right. We're going to take your right leg and slide your right heel out long on the ground. Good. So if your right heel is long, I'm going to scoot up a little bit so my whole body gets in frame, and go ahead and point and flex your foot there at the bottom. Point and flex your foot, your right foot. Point and flex. Point and flex. We did a little bit of this last month with our foot focus, where you're getting dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. Go ahead and reach into dorsiflexion, which just means your foot is flexed. Pull the top of your foot towards your shin. Although your foot is flexed, so your toes are coming to your nose, I still want you to reach your heel long to the other end of the room. It's going to pull your leg longer. The same side arm. So we have our right leg long. The right arm is also going to come up towards the ceiling or up towards the other end of the mat. And we're going to stretch that whole side of your body, so much so that you might start to side bend over to the left. So you're reaching out through the right foot and you're reaching up through the right fingers, making your whole right side so long that it starts to side bend. Yeah? All right. Go ahead and bring that back in. We're going to return that right foot to your hook lying position. Let's do the same sort of process on the left side. Slide your left foot out long. Flex and point the left foot so we connect into that area. For those of you that are joining us, maybe after some time, I've said this in the past, when we can connect into the end points of our limbs, meaning when we are working through our fingers and our toes and our feet, it sort of ensures that everything in between those 2 points is working. All right. So if we just think about reaching through the end points of your limbs, then likely your hips working, your knees working, your calves are working, all that stuff. All right. So go ahead and flex that foot. The top of the foot's coming toes to your nose, but the heel is reaching out long, making your leg maybe a little longer. And we're going to add in the left arm reach up overhead. And again, you're separating your fingers and your heel so much that you start to side bend a little bit to the right. Hopefully you feel that opening in your side body there. So this is going to take a little bit of core work here as we switch to the other side in a seamless transition where we pull the left side back in and the right side goes out. Flex your foot, reach your right arm up. Yes. And if you're wearing socks on hardwood, sometimes this is kind of nice because it's just a little bit more fluid. Go ahead and pull that side back into the start point, left arm, left heel, reach. Yes. Right side goes longer. Side bend a little bit so that you get, that extra stretch, and side bend and side bend and side bend. Good. And of course, I'm going to start picking up my pace. If you want to continue to kind of go at a more hesitant, lingering side stretch, go for it. We're going to do one more, maybe on each side. Beautiful. And then return back to your hook lying position. If some of you felt like that was gait training, it was. Nice connection. We're going to tuck the tail and press your low back into the ground. And if you have your hands on the front part of your hip bones, you may be able to feel sort of that hollowing going on in your tummy and your abdominals. And then go ahead and tilt your pelvis the other direction so that you have some space in your low back. You're going to feel yourself arching off the ground. Okay. And I'm going to do the movement with my hands because it's easier for you to see in the camera. You can also do it with your hands if you want to, you don't have to. So we're going to pull the pelvis in and sort of tuck your tail and draw your pubic bone closer to your nose, the front part of your pelvis closer to your nose, and then go into that opposite direction where your tail is heavy and you're arching in the low back. Okay. Flex the spine. So press your low back into the ground and extend your spine, arch your spine off the floor. Flex the spine, press down, arch and extend. Flex and press, imprint, arch and extend. Beautiful. Two more. Flex and pull and arch and lift. One more time. Flex and pull, arch and lift. Nicely done. Good. Let's place your, actually, let's bring your arms up towards the ceiling. Let's go for this one for the next set. So arms up towards the ceiling, still in your hook line position. Right here, let your right knee drop out to the side and notice what happens in the rest of your body when you let your right knee drop out to the side. And I'm just going to there's a few things that may have happened. I'll just kind of say the most common things. Maybe your left knee sort of draped out as well to counterbalance. Maybe you kind of started to roll a little bit onto your right hip. Okay. Maybe your arms kind of went over to the left to counterbalance. Go ahead and bring yourself back to the center. Now we're going to try to keep ourselves pretty steady and neutral. So no movement of the limbs, except the right leg drops out to the side. Resist the temptation to counterbalance the weight of the leg and then pull the leg back up. Let's do the same thing on the left side again. Resist the temptation to counterbalance. So feel the stability as you drape one leg out to the side and then back to your center. Go ahead and do that a few more times. So we're going right side out to the side and left side out to the side. Good. I'm not going to say right, left, because people I think are going to start to get on different paces, but you know the drill, just alternating sides, keeping your stability here. And that requires a lot of core strength to hold yourself centered, even though part of your body is sort of drifting off, right? It's just basic physics. When you change your center of mass and pull through, out to the side and pull through. We're going to do one more time each. And last one. Beautiful. Nice job. Bring your hands down by your side with your palms facing the ceiling. We're going to take a quick little intermission and then come back to a similar drill. But let's go ahead and keep your feet flat on the ground. Press your hips up towards the ceiling in your bridge that you all hopefully know well from PT and maybe previous experience in exercise classes. This time we're going to articulate the spine coming down, which just means you're going to start at the top of your spine in between your shoulder blades and drop that section of your spine down. And then the next sort of mid back section comes down. And then the low back section comes down. And then the pelvis or your hip bone finally comes down and flattens onto the mat. Okay, so that's called articulating bridging. Press the hips up towards the ceiling again. I don't really care how you get there, just come on up. And then let's articulate again. So imagine your spine in 4 different segments: between the shoulder blades, the mid back, the low back, and then your hips. Okay, here we go. Press up again. And you may know I'm using my hands to kind of help me differentiate those. So mid back, I kind of push a little button on my sternum. Sorry, that was between the shoulder blades, mid back, low back, and then hips. Let's do that one more time. Press the hips up all the way. You can use your hands to trace between the shoulder blades, mid back, low back. It's kind of like underneath your belly button, and then your pelvis. Good. Just let your knees rock from side to side, kind of wringing out the spine. And then go ahead and have your feet again in their hook lying position, feet flat, knees bent. Let's bring those arms back up towards the ceiling with the palms facing one another. Palms facing one another. This time we're going to go opposite arm and leg. So we're going to go right leg out to the side, left arm out to the side. With opposite arm and leg draping out to the side. With a nice core collection, we're going to bring everything back to your center line. Left leg drapes out, right arm goes out. The same rules from earlier. Try to keep yourself relatively steady through the non-moving limbs and your weight equally distributed between your hips, so you're not rolling. Let's go ahead and just do alternating sides here. Again, I'm not going to say right, left. It's just going to get too confusing. Is she talking about the upper body or the lower body? I don't know. Open out and in. Good. Open out and in. Good. We'll go about 4 more here. Maybe 3 more. 2. And last one. Excellent job. And release. Go ahead and kick out your side that's closest to the camera. So both the upper body and the lower body. Just the side that's closest to the camera. And the other side is going to be sort of bent. And I'm doing this so that you end up rolling towards the camera and you can still see me. So the leg that's bent here, we're going to press the hip up as if you were to bridge a little bit and start a rolling over onto your side, but we're not going to quite roll all the way. And then lower your hip back down to the mat and let yourself come back to your start position. So I see some of you looking at the camera to sort of figure it out. We have one leg straight, one leg bent. The leg that's bent, we're going to press through that foot and bridge your hips up on the diagonal as if you were to roll onto your straight-legged side. There we go. Nice. Yeah. And then bringing it on back. Good. And again. and through. Good. One more time. Pressing up and over. Should feel like a nice stretch in your hips, trying to open up and through this bent knee hip side. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and do the other side. Swap your feet. Bring your other side down. So you have maybe the side that's furthest away from me stretched long, and the side that's closest to me is bent. And again, we're going to go into sort of a pseudo diagonal hip bridge where it starts to take you to roll onto your left side and then bring it on down to the mat. Good. Press the hip up and over. We're going to send that knee long over your pinky toe and then center it back down. Good. If you want to take it up a level, you're just going to look towards your arm that's not reaching overhead. So your head and your eyes are rotating in the direction opposite of where your hips are going. And we'll do 2 more. Great. Last one, pushing through those hips. Oh, the sun's peeking through in a different angle, and bring it on down. Go ahead and swap to the other side again. Good. And we're going to use that exercise as a way to start rolling around on the floor. So we're going to bend. So bend one knee up. I'm going to say bend the side that is furthest away from me. We're going to bridge your hips over and come into a pseudo side lying position where you have both arms framing your ears, but your foot is still planted behind you. Yep. And then you're going to roll yourself back down. Good. So we're going to take this to the next level. Push and frame your head. Bonus points if you can float your head off of your bottom hand to work that neck strength. And then bring it on down. Driving the rotation, the rolling on the floor, pushing off of that foot. Yes. Good. We're going to go 2 more. Push up and over. Good. And last one, keeping your foot flat on the ground the whole time, even when you're in that side position. Beautiful. And then hold right here on your side. And we're going to bring both legs out long to stack up on each other. Now, in this position, you are balancing on one side of your body, the downstairs side, right? You have a long arm and a long leg. If this is challenging for your shoulder mobility, by the way, just tuck your arm in. Okay, just tuck your arm in if that's challenging on the shoulder. Otherwise, we're balancing here. Okay, we're going to plant your bottom foot down on the ground, and we're just going to kick the leg up and down. If you find yourself sort of wobbling and you're like, oh my gosh, Steph, what are you having me do here? You can take that top hand and help just balance you a little bit by bringing it out in front. Okay. Otherwise, nice job. Lee's holding his head up nice and long. I love it. Great job, man. We're going to go up, up, up with that hip. We're going to go 3 more. 2 more. Last one. Beautiful. Nice work. Go ahead and pull those knees in towards your chest and reach all the way forward with this top arm until your chest comes almost flat with the ground. See if you can get there. Yep. We're going to take our eyes on the thumb of that stretched out hand. Follow your thumb as it circles around your head, out behind you, still following your thumb. The thumb's going to sweep down towards your hips. You're going to have to lift your head up in order to hold and press and follow that thumb and sweep it forward. So we're going to just do 5 circles with the arm reaching up and around. Again, follow your thumb with your hand wherever it goes. We're working eye tracking, smooth pursuit, vestibular system here by tracking through. If it's making you dizzy, nauseous, or you just don't like it in general, you can keep your eyes facing forward and just let the shoulder roll. I think that was 4 for me, so I'm going to do 1 more. Good, good, good. From here, we're going to press yourself up into a side sit position. Swing the legs to the other side. There's some agility. And then bring it on down to your back with your head facing the other direction. We're just doing this so that we can continue looking at the camera and we can get the other side, okay? So your head should maybe be facing the other direction so that when we start doing these little hip bridge things, we're still looking the same direction. All right. So here we go. The side body that's closest to the camera, we're going to stretch it long. Press your hip up and over until you start to roll. We're going to bring the arms up to frame your head. Good. And bonus points if you can float your bottom ear off the ground, works that side neck strength. And then bring your hip back down and roll back through. And you know the drill. We're just going to go through this same side, this side the same as the other side. Good. And bringing it down. Push through the hip and roll over. Yep. And back down. Great. With the arms up overhead, it really forces you to use your hips and your feet to get the roll going. And of course, your core is always working for you, as opposed to using momentum or kind of throwing your arms around, flailing around. We're using some very calculated hip movement and strength to get you there. Last one, go ahead and push yourself over into your full side position. Once you're balanced, bring the other leg to stack. And we're still reaching through. Good. And we're going to lift and lower that top leg, balancing through your whole side body. If you need to bring your hand down in front, of course, go ahead and do that. Good. Otherwise, still reaching with that top arm. That's the extra challenge. And we're going to go for 7, 6, 5. Push down through your bottom limbs. Bottom meaning downstairs on the floor limbs. Last 2 and last 1. Beautiful. Nice job. Bend those knees in. Top arm reaches forward. Roll all the way forward until your chest touches the ground. Eyes track your thumb as you create that big circle up and over and around. Eyes track your thumb the whole time. As the hand passes over your hips, you're going to have to lift your head up a little bit and work those obliques as you're tracking. Yep, I think I have 2 more. And the faster you go, the more challenging it is for your vestibular system. So you can use that information to either push yourself a little bit more, or if you're feeling a little nauseous, you can slow it down. Good work. From here, press yourself up into your side sit. And we're going to come into a Z-sit position here. Z-sit is one of my favorite positions, where you have the shin forward and the foot sort of connected to your knee. And then what it looks like from the side is the leg folded back with your laces down on the ground. Okay. Try not to have your foot like this. Tuck the toes under if you can. Now, again, if this is feeling a little bit of a stretch for you today, a stretch as in I cannot make that happen today, throw that pillow underneath you so you're a little bit more elevated. It'll take some pressure off of your ankle and your knee. Okay. All righty. Looks like we're all pretty good here. We're going to bring both hands onto, so if we have our legs casted off to the left, we're going to bring both hands to the right side, sort of on an angle. All right. From here, we're going to press up into a pseudo kind of Z-sit, quadruped hands and knees, and then sit back down. Okay. Bring the hips forward and up and back down. So you're playing with the kids and you're like, oh, there's a toy right there that I want to grab for and bring it over here. So we're going to reach up, we're going to grab that thing over there and then sit back down and bring it to whatever play area. Okay. We're just bringing in these scenarios. I want this to have some carryover into your active lifestyles of, you know, doing things on the ground, wrapping presents on the floor. Oh, I need to grab the tape. It's way over here. I'm going to pull it into my little workstation. All right. Things like that. That's what we're doing all this for, right? We're going to go for 2 more. Yep. And last one, reaching. Good. Nice work. Now, in this position, we're going to do what's called a shin box. Hands come back. We're going to dorsiflex. So if you're on a pillow, you may have to kind of navigate this a little bit. We're going to dorsiflex your feet for a quick second. Push through, come into feet flat. Swivel the hips, the knees over to the other side, and then tuck that leg in. Okay. You're like, I was working over here. Now I want to work over here. Let's do that again. We're just going to swivel from side to side. Untuck and then swivel. So the feet never lift off the ground. They're just sort of rolling through. Great. Now, if this feels easy, you can try doing it with just one hand coming back or no hands, no hand prop. And that brings in a different element for your spine and your core having to pull in and open out. Yeah. Nice. Again, keep your feet on the ground. Shin box. This is called a shin box where the feet never change space. And you may feel yourself kind of migrating forward. That's normal. This is a gait thing. This is a locomotion thing. Let's go one more time. Ooh, let's go one more time and finish on the side that we did not start with. Good. Go ahead and tuck yourself in. I'm going to scoot back so I'm a little bit more in the camera view. And if you need to situate yourself with a pillow, go ahead and situate yourself with a pillow. So remember, as best as you can, try to get this top of the foot down. So legs are swept off to the right-hand side if you're with me. We're going to reach over to the left. Pull yourself up and forward. And remember, the carryover for this is like, oh, I need to grab this thing right there. And I'm going to pull it back to my workstation. And then you can release your hands. All right, so reach and then back down. So if we're talking about agility, this first class was sort of a like mobility basics in your hips. But as we go through the month, we're going to be bringing in some of these more kind of dynamic, quicker movements. Your agility, how agile are you in moving around the floor? Last one. Beautiful. Nice job. Go ahead and bring yourself fully into your hands and knees. So let's even yourself out. Good thing we did all those hand stretches earlier. Now they come into play. So really widen out through your fingers on the ground. And if you can as well, let's see if you can tuck your toes underneath you as well. If your toes are able to do that, that's even better. And if you need a little assistance to get the toe tuck, you can just reach back. My pinky toes don't do so well, so I have to sometimes help them out. All right, big wide hands. We're going to sit back, stick your butt out behind you as you sit back on your heels. Yep, stick your butt out. Press forward over your wrists, get the stretch through the wrists. Good, stretch back and stretch forward. Good. Try to keep your elbows straight for this one. If you have tight wrists, maybe we need to do some of those wrist preps a little bit every day to start loosening up those wrists that we did at the preps that we did at the beginning of class. Forward and back, forward and back. Well, let's go for 2 more. And last one. Nice work. All right, I'm just turning myself here. So we're going to be in this sort of sitting back position. We're going to call this loaded beast. Loaded beast. We're like ready to pounce. Now, I'm going to show you the next step, and I'll show you some modifications if this does not feel attainable for you. So we're going to take the right foot next to the right pinky. Boom. Wow. Nice, everyone. All right. So option for that for today, or if you get to a day where you're like, we're going to do this on a chair or some sort of coffee table. So we're forward. Okay. Go ahead and replace that foot and sit back into your loaded beast with a chair or not. Left foot to left pinky or left corner of your chair. Nice. Sink on back. Right pinky. Sink on back. Left pinky. Sink on back. Right pinky. Sink on back. Left pinky and stay there. Left pinky and stay there. We're going to take your left arm up towards the ceiling, wherever you are, either on a chair, your left arm up towards the ceiling. Left elbow is going to come down towards the floor. Maybe you grab your wrist, comes towards the floor. Ugh. Look over your right shoulder. Left arm up towards the ceiling, push down into the ground, open up. Left elbow towards the floor. Good. Now, just like we did with our pinwheel stretch, we're going to follow the thumb with your eyes. Reach it up and reach it down. One more time. Reach it up and reach it down. Excellent job. Replace your hand back. We're going to stick that foot back where it came from. You can load up in your loaded beast if you need a little bit of load, and then right foot to right pinky. Same thing on this side. We twist up with the right arm. Watch your thumb. Twist down. Elbow towards the floor, if not on the floor. Up and twist. Up and twist. Remember, you can do this with your hands on a chair too. Up and twist. Good. One more time. Great. Go ahead and tuck that foot back in and come into a high kneeling position. We're right at the end of class here. What, Tim? Yep, we're good. Right at the end of class. High kneeling. High kneeling. And if you need a knee pad, go ahead and just throw your knees on your pad underneath your knees. We've done this in a previous class. Let's see how it goes. One hand out to the side, lower your hips down to the ground, and you're going to sit in sort of this like mermaid, merman, merperson sit. Use your hands as much as you need to come back into your tall kneel. Let's do the other side, bringing it down all the way to the floor. Great. If that feels like a far excursion, you can sit on a pillow. Okay. Press on up. Now use your hands less and less as you go from side to side. Maybe you just use one hand. Okay. Maybe you do no hands. Some of you. Excellent. Make sure you're getting your hips all the way off to the side. It requires, again, that side bending that we've been practicing. It requires that side bending mobility. So I think now you're starting to see, okay, floor agility requires a requisite of mobility in our spine. Our ability to move around asks that our spine goes in all sorts of directions: sideways, flexion, extension, rotation. Let's do one more time on each side. Good. And last one. Perfect. And bring it on up to high kneeling position. Perfect. All right, we're going to go last exercise here. It's called cat stretch. We're going to bring the arms up towards the ceiling. Make sure you have a little bit of space to work with in front of you. We're going to come down onto your hands and knees in a specific way. Stretch your ribs and your shoulders up towards the ceiling as if someone's pulling you and tractioning you, or you're hanging. Get those elbows all the way straight. There we go. Stretch up and over. Reach towards the other end of your mat, but without sort of falling forward. So there's this energy that's going out through your hands, but you're kind of drawing in on your abs to support that. And then bring your hands down to the position that would be sort of a hands and knees spacing. Shift into your hands and come all the way forward. We kind of did this earlier with the loaded beast rocking. Shift your weight back again. Float your palms off the ground so you're just on your fingertips. Now start to round your spine, reaching your fingertips to the other end of the mat, and then pull your hips forward as you bring yourself up. Carrie, excellent job. You've done this before. Maybe. Or you have a cat that you've watched many times. Reaching out to the other end of the mat. Keep your rounding in your spine so you don't just fall forward. Place the hands down, shift forward into your wrists. Nice. When you come back, round your spine and draw your hips forward as your hands get light and release off the ground. Nice. So this is a really slinky way to get down and up from the floor. Here we go. All the way down. Shift forward, shift back, and pull up all the way to tall kneeling. Nice job. Go ahead and find some space on the ground to lay down on your back for a little bit of reflection. That was a journey, especially that last that we really got moving. You can be in a hook lying position, a side lying position. You can, anything that's comfortable. You can be on your stomach if you want. And just let yourself feel supported by the floor. And as you're laying here, feeling supported by the floor, Some obvious, but maybe worth highlighting features of the floor are that you can't fall. The floor is a pretty safe place to move around. So the fear of falling is sort of taken out of the equation, and we can feel a little bit more safe to try new things. The floor is pretty much always available to us, even if you're traveling or if you're in a new, staying with family members in a different house. There's always some floor space available for you to get down on the floor and stretch and move. And when you work on the floor and your floor agility and your floor mobility, they feed into one another. So the requirements to move around on the floor, the mobility requirements to move around on the floor become trained, along with the strength requirements that are required to move around on the floor. So you're building both the mobility and the strength all at the same time with these movements, which is a pretty good bang for your buck. So now reflect a little bit on the class that we just experienced together. We started on our back and we did a little bit of rolling and some bridging and some side lying and some hands and knees and kneeling. Take your mind through that. And think of one exercise or position that was new for you or particularly interesting that you want to practice for the next week. Because over the next several weeks, we're going to be building on the foundations that we put in place this week. And we're going to be building up to some combinations of movements that kind of turn into a little bit of a dance that we're going to be doing, moving around on the floor. So any of those movements today that you found a little bit more challenging, make sure that we log that in our calendar mentally or physically, log it in your calendar to practice. Take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale out. Go ahead and bring your joints back to life. You can kind of move your hands, move your feet, start rolling around a little bit, bringing your body back up to an upright position. Excellent job, everyone. I'm going to turn off the recording. So if you want to share any experiences, you are free to do that.